English 2 students, Mrs. Delp here, going to go through kind of an analysis of Chapter 10. You should have read Chapter 10 and then taken your quiz, and then now you're going to listen to this. I'm going to go through and analyze a chapter, a ton of symbolism, and really some key events to kind of embody and emphasize Golding's overall theme and purpose of his book. So I'm going to go through this in detail, and then like last week, you're going to answer a few essential questions that are on Google Classroom, okay? So Chapter 10 is titled The Shell and the Glasses. The shell meaning the conch, and then Piggy's glasses. So the sequential order of events. First, Ralph and Piggy discuss the events that happened last night, and the events that happened last night was Simon's death, okay? Second, the chief, now Jack, tells the boys his next plan of action. And then lastly, Ralph's camp is invaded. Okay, the title of the chapter is significant. Chapter 10 of William Golding's Lord of the Flies is titled The Shell and the Glasses. This novel, as you've seen, is very symbolic. Okay, during the previous chapters, both the conch shell and Piggy's glasses were hugely important symbols. Okay, what do they stand for? And they seem to lose their power and significance. And I'm going to kind of discuss why this is notable. The conch shell is a symbol of order and civility among the schoolboys who are stranded on the island. When someone wants to speak to the group, for example, he must be holding the conch. Piggy's glasses, on the other hand, quickly become the symbol of life and hope because with them, the boys can make fire for nourishment and rescue. In Chapter 10, neither the glasses nor the shell are physically destroyed. Okay, they're not physically destroyed. They still exist. Both of them are symbolically destroyed, as are order, civilized behavior, and life. As we see, these things are destroyed in this chapter. Order, civilization, civilized behavior, and life. And we see that in Simon's death. Okay. At the beginning of the chapter, Ralph and Piggy arrive at the devastating conclusion that only Sam and Eric and several of the little ones are now part of the tribe that still respects the fragile white conch. Piggy urges Ralph to blow the conch, but Ralph knows that if he does, no one will come and they will have to face the reality that there is no order or civility on the island. The conch no longer has meaning and will soon be physically destroyed as well. At the end of the chapter, Jack and some of his tribe sneak into the camp on the beach and steal Piggy's glasses. Okay, this is notable. It marks both the symbolic end of Piggy, who represents the intellect, and the end of fire used as a life-giving force. From now on, fire will be used by Jack and his tribe to cause death rather than life. Okay, foreshadowing, but also very notable and symbolic. Okay. Okay, freezing on me. Okay, we're going to summarize the chapter here. The chapter begins with Ralph and Piggy. As I said, they're mentally and physically broken from the night before. They come to realization that everyone but, like I mentioned, Sam, Eric, and a couple of little ones have all gone with Jack. Okay? So it's Piggy, Ralph, Sam, and Eric, and a few little ones. That's all in Ralph's side. Everybody else has joined Jack's tribe. Ralph picks up the conch and thinks about calling an assembly, but then just begins to laugh uncontrollably. And he does that because he realized civilization order is lost. No one's going to come. And he's going to have to face the reality that there's no order. Okay, so he doesn't blow the conch. Ralph brings up Simon's death to Piggy. Ralph is very distraught by what happened and even calls it murder. Note, the civilized boys can't admit their part in Simon's murder. Civilization exists to suppress and hide from the savage instincts, the beast within that made them kill. Piggy tells Ralph over and over again how it was an accident and that they were just scared. He is eventually able to convince Ralph that they weren't even at the dance and that they left early and were just on the outside. He convinces Ralph that they weren't even a part of Simon's murder. They just watched, which they're still kind of guilty to some degree. I'm frightened of us. I want to go home. Oh, God, I want to go home. Okay? Key moment right there. The conversation between Ralph and Piggy. We are then taken to Jack and the rest of the tribe. All the boys now refer to Jack as Chief. Jack tells the boys how he is going out hunting again tomorrow. And he warns them to defend against Ralph and the others while he's gone. Okay? He then brings up the beast again. You can't tell what he might do. The tribe considered this, and then were shaken as if by a flow of wind. The chief saw the effect of his words and stood abruptly. Is Jack using the idea of the beast to maintain power and control over the other boys? That's kind of one of your questions. He's using the idea of the beast to maintain power. Fear is his weapon. He's instilling fear into the boys to gain power and control. Okay, also one of your quiz questions had to do with a discussion with Roger and what Jack is doing to Wilfred, okay? Roger clambered up the ladder like a cliff. Look at this. A log had been jammed under the topmost rock. Another level under that. Robert leaned lightly on the lever, and the rock groaned. A full effort would send the rock thundering down the neck of island. Roger admired. He's a proper chief, isn't he? Robert nodded. He's going to take us hunting. He jerked his head in the direction of the distant shelters, where a thread of white smoke climbed up the sky. Roger, sitting on the very edge of the cliff, looked somberly back at the island as he worked with his fingers at a loose tooth. His gaze settled on the top of the distant mountain, and Robert changed the unspoken subject. He's going to beat Wilfred. What for? Robert shook his head doubtfully. I don't know. He didn't say. He got angry and made us tie Wilfred up. Okay, so they tied Wilfred up and then they beat him. He giggled at Skyly. He's been tied for hours waiting. But didn't the chief say why? I never heard him. Okay, so we see that savagery, ruthlessness. Okay, Jack had tied up Wilfred for hours and was beating him. Okay. Sorry, it freezes sometimes. So the mask and the face. Okay, the chief was sitting there naked to the waist, his face blocked out in white and red. Earlier in the book, Jack used the face paint to camouflage himself while hunting the pig. What is he using it for now? This is really symbolic and significant. The mask that he has is allowing the inner beast out. Okay, the mask is essentially, he's literally and figuratively hiding behind the mask and allowing his inner beast to act out. Okay. Now that Jack realizes that he has no way of making a fire, he changes his plan from going hunting to taking fire from the others. Jack, Maurice, and Roger plan to set out for Ralph's camp that night and attack them. Back at Ralph's camp, they are becoming weak and tired. They all become too tired to build their fire, and Ralph even momentarily forgets what the point of building the fire is. Ralph is beginning to lose it. He is hallucinating, laughing uncontrollably, and having spasm. He just wants to go home. The success of this tiny joke overcame Ralph. His sniggers became uncontrollable. His body jumped and twitched. Piggy rebuked him with dignity. I haven't said anything funny at all. That's textual support of why and showing that Ralph is hallucinating and losing it. Ralph and his others are woken up by the sound of footsteps outside. At first they think it's the beast, but soon realize it's just Jack and some others. They violently attack them and trash their camp. Ralph and Piggy immediately check that the conch is still there, and it is. They realize that it's not what they came for. They came for Piggy's glasses, which they had successfully stolen. Why? Okay. What the significance of Piggy's glasses is it makes fire. So Ralph and Piggy were going to use it so they'd be rescued. But now Jack took it. Okay. Jack took the fire, and the fire will be used by Jack and his tribe to cause death rather than life. Because that is how they make fire, they stole the fire. Besides no longer being able to make the fire, what is the other significance of Piggy's glasses being stolen? The civilized boys stopped trying to keep the signal fire burning at night, a symbolic surrender to savagery. The savages, meanwhile, are willing to give up the chance of rescue completely to get the technology of Piggy's glasses to build cooking fires. Okay? So total shift in kind of going from orders, trying to get rescued, having a plan, people working together, to all they care about is killing, hunting. So could you say that Jack stealing the ability to make fire could be an allusion to Prometheus? Yes. Okay? And that was referenced in the Raising the Sun play that we read, Prometheus. Prometheus is known, he's a mythological god, okay? He defies the gods by stealing fire and giving it to humanity as civilization. Okay, so Jack is stealing fire just like Prometheus did. This is an illusion. So the author, Golding, puts this illusion in, refers or directly or indirectly refers to a person, event, or thing in history, up to the reader to make that connection. So he's using that tool, comparing Jack to Prometheus. All right, so like I said, a ton of symbolism, and I'm going to review the key ones here. But just to review a definition, the creative use of objects or symbols to represent or indicate a deeper meaning or to represent something larger than that object itself. Okay? Just as a heart is a symbol of love, or a turkey symbol of Thanksgiving, colors, animals, weather, numbers, and even people can act as symbols in a piece of literature. Golding skillfully uses symbols throughout The Lord of the Flies to create a novel full of depth and significance. Okay, here's the key ones. So we talked about Piggy's glasses. They represent intelligence and helpfulness. They are needed for the boys' survival. In this chapter, Jack realizes that without Piggy's glasses, they cannot make fire. The conch. The fact that the conch has lost its power is significant and indicates the lack of stability on the island. As the chapter progresses, Jack warns his tribe that the beast might attempt to sneak into their fortress at Castle Rock. Okay, again, Jack is using fear to gain control. Okay, that's how he's the chief right now. Fear. The fear of the beast. But who is the beast? It's internal. It's in them. It's in Jack. Jack uses the mask to be able to let out his inner beast. The beast a thing. Okay, the beast itself. The boy's behavior is what brings the beast into existence. So they are more savagely. The boys act. The more real the beast seems to become. The more the boys act like the savage, the more real the beast seems to become. Darkness, blackness, okay? So those colors are symbolic. Darkness is what causes fear and unrest on the island, nighttime. Darkness symbolizes fear, the unknown, and the deterioration of humanity. Their fear blinds them from the truth and reality. The darkness manipulates the boys' minds and causes chaos and unrest. Other key symbols. Ralph. He represents, so I'm going to go through the characters that are really key. Social order, principles, civility. Okay, we see that. Jack could not be any more opposite. Anarchy, savagery. Piggy, knowledge, intelligence, and reason. The island itself can be symbolic of the Garden of Eden and the corruption of man. Okay, as soon as that plane crashed on that island, it was corrupted from man. And we've seen it evolve and develop throughout this novel. Simon equals pure goodness and innocence. And the killing of Simon is symbolic. A lot of you talked about it and did a great job in noticing that the killing of Simon is literally the innocence of the boys diminishing, okay, going away. Roger equals man's enjoyment for causing harm to others. Okay, then the Lord of the Flies is the allure or attraction of evil. Okay, they almost treat it like a god. Okay. The essential questions that you are going to answer, and these will be on Google Classroom. Again, please do not just write one sentence. Provide textual support. Provide examples, details from the chapter that support what you're saying. So Piggy says that they are not to blame about Simon's death. Do you think this is true? Do you think they are not to blame about Simon's death? Why? Explain with detail from the chapter. Okay, and this PowerPoint has a lot of examples, a lot of resources to use in your responses, okay? Are we starting to see some sort of religion forming in Jack's tribe? It's becoming kind of cult-like. The head is a god, okay? The Lord of the Flies is a god to them. They give peace offering as if to worship it. Pig's skull becoming a religious totem, meaning a totem is an animal object that is believed by a particular society to have a spiritual significance. So they're using this Lord of the Flies, or this pig head, as spiritual significance. It's driving them to reject civilization and gives it into their violent, savage impulses, okay? So we are starting to see like a cult. During the raid, number 3, why are Piggy's glasses taken, but the conch is left behind? Why? Think about what the conch represents and what Piggy's glasses represent and needed for. Does the conch have power now? Yes or no? And Piggy's glasses, why were they stolen? I talked a lot about that earlier in this presentation, okay? And then the last one, do you think Jack will be able to maintain power over the boys? Why? Provide an example to support your response. Provide textual evidence from the chapter. You do that, put effort into it, knock it out, I'll look at it, and I'll be like good to go. But if you don't put any effort into it, you're going to have to do several revisions. I want to make sure that you guys are retaining this and kind of analyzing and diving into this novel, because it is kind of a simple read, but it also has such deep symbolic, overarching kind of mankind, and what we're capable of. So I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're enjoying the story. Again, please reach out with any questions, concerns. I'm here for you. Be safe. Miss you.